Welcome back. Time for business, and for that I'm joined by Owen Fairclough. Hello, Owen.
Hi, Claire.
Starting off with the European markets, and they're looking very refreshed after that May Day holiday.
Except for us, Claire, we were hard at it yesterday, but lots of traders weren't around Europe, so they've come back to their desks this Wednesday morning, certainly in Frankfurt and here in Paris. Both those markets sharply up, around 1.5% to nearly 2% up. You can see the FTSE is down there. We've got a couple of problems with our board, but I can tell you that the FTSE's off by around 0.1%. Don't read too much into it. It's just a correction, really, with those traders coming back after a day off. On the Asian markets, the Nikkei finishing the day around 1/3% up, but it was the Shanghai Composite that stole the march this Wednesday. A good performance there. That was after manufacturing data wasn't quite as weak as many investors were expecting, so the Shanghai Composite got the bounce from that. Just while we're talking markets as well, lots of earnings out there today. There'll be lots of interest in BSkyB, especially after Rupert Murdoch's condemnation by the UK government and his unfit to run a conglomerate like BSkyB. You can really see why he wanted to take over this company there at the top of the board. Its first quarter profits up 15% to just over £900 million. It is still down for the year, but there is lots of value, many investors will tell you, in this company. And worth just mentioning Vestas as well, the Danish wind turbine maker, extending losses in the first quarter to around €250 million. Baffling, really, for a company that should be making big bucks from wind turbines, particularly in places like China, but the demand is just dropping. It's having to readjust its pricing as a result of that.
Right, let's stay with earnings for a moment, because UBS has put the Swiss banking sector's woes right back in the frame. UBS has announced a 55% drop in first quarter profit. Victoria Morgan has been looking at the numbers from Zurich, where the bank is headquartered, and she joins us now. Hello, Victoria. Now, this bank's week isn't going to get any easier, is it? It has to face some angry shareholders on Thursday.
Well, yes, you're right. As you say, this is going to put fire in the bellies of shareholders who are planning to vote against UBS's management pay award and also against discharging their criminal responsibility for 2011. Now, both of those things would normally be pretty routine. Shareholders are worried that there are no objective criteria in UBS according to which bonuses are paid. And several institutional shareholders have been reported as saying that they cannot vote for a pay deal if there's no objective criteria, especially in a year when profits are so reduced and we've had the rogue trader scandal. Now, to go back to those figures, so down by 54% on the first quarter of last year, and in profits in total of 827 million francs, and most analysts had expected those profits would be over £1 billion, so a 15% difference there. Now, this reduction in profits is down, the UBS says, to a one-off charge of 1.1 billion francs, a write-down on some assets that were valued on its books as higher than what they would get. So they've corrected those prices. What you've also got to look at with UBS is its wealth management unit, its most profitable part, the part that really makes a difference. And that made a profit of 803 million francs. That's up 70% on last year, which sounds good, but this unit took a huge hit when UBS's exposure to subprimes was exposed, and it's still not back to pre-crisis levels.
All right, Vicky Morgan reporting from Zurich. Thank you very much for that.
Just worth noting, Claire, as Vicky was saying there, it's all about the wealth management unit for that bank now, and you can kind of see why UBS profits are up around 4.2% this morning at the opening of the European markets. We should move on now to another nationalisation and another Spanish company forced to cut its losses in South America. A fortnight ago, it was Repsol, Spain's Repsol, forced to cut its losses with YPF in Argentina. Now Bolivia's president is stepping in to take back another energy firm. But as Siobhan Silk explains, Morales is being careful not to alienate all foreign investors this time.
Evo Morales had already nationalised Bolivia's oil, telecommunications and mining industries. 2 years ago, on May Day, the government took over the electricity generation sector. Morales chose the same symbolic day this year to send in the army to seize control of the offices of Red Eléctrica, the Spanish company that runs Bolivia's electricity distribution grid.
It's the obligation of the president, vice president and cabinet to organise these kinds of operations to get back what is ours.
Red Eléctrica, which is part owned by the Spanish government, controlled 3/4 of Bolivia's electricity transmission network. Spain's ambassador to Bolivia said the takeover sent a negative message and generated mistrust, but Spanish companies are still willing to work with Morales. On the same day he took control of the electric grid, the president opened a gas refinery plant in cooperation with Spanish petrochemical giant Repsol.
This is a challenging project from an engineering, security and equality point of view, and from many other aspects.
We recognize Repsol's leadership as one of the world's largest international companies, and its investments will always be respected as our partners.
Last month, Repsol was infuriated by the decision of Bolivia's neighbour Argentina to nationalise oil firm YBF, in which the Spanish company had a controlling stake. But there's no danger of multinationals throwing up their hands and quitting the region. Bolivia has some of the largest natural gas and oil reserves in South America. Even in nationalised industries, there are still millions of euros to be made.
Now, the latest earnings from B-Sky-B, a reminder of a lucrative opportunity snatched out of Rupert Murdoch's hands. The UK government has told him he's not fit to run the satellite broadcaster in the wake of the phone hacking scandal. It puts a final nail in the coffin for Murdoch's ambition to take over B-Sky-B. But the judgment on Murdoch's suitability is unlikely to change much at the top of his News Corp empire.
In the view of the majority of committee members, Rupert Murdoch is not fit to run an international company like B-Sky-B.
Stark words from British MPs charged with examining the hacking of private phones for newspapers owned by Murdoch's News Corporation. With the scandal reaching the very top, Murdoch could be under serious pressure from the rest of the board of directors, which has a legal obligation to protect shareholders. But if Murdoch is unfit to run the company he founded, who could kick him out? The corporation's two-tier share structure means that not all shareholders are created equal. The Murdoch family owns only about 12% of the total stock, but a large percentage of the voting rights. Rupert Murdoch himself controls around 40% of the voting shares through the family trust. At 81 years old, even without the scandal, the patriarch would seem to be close to retirement. Son James was the heir apparent, but the hacking scandal has tarnished him as much as his father. Indeed, James has already had to step down as chair of the corporation's newspaper division and of B-Sky-B. But experts say the Murdoch family has an arsenal of legal instruments at its disposal to protect its position and let it keep a firm grip on power. They say in the end it may be internal family politics that decides the future of News Corp's leadership.
And that's all we have time for in business. Thanks very much, Owen. And thank you for watching. Do stay tuned to France 24. More headlines coming up in just a few minutes.